Going to a football match in the middle of pandemic feels like an undergoing endurance test in a reality show. A project. Going to a football match in the middle of pandemic feels like an undergoing endurance test in a reality TV show. A pre-match message instructs me to arrive at Hampden Park in Glasgow 3 hours before Scotland. 3 hours before Scotland. The, 3 hours before. Uh, a message instructs me to arrive at 3 hours before. No, 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 no. Going to a football match in the middle of pandemic feels like an undergoing endurance test in a reality TV show. A pre-match message instructs me to arrive at Hampden Park in Glasgow 3 hours before Scotland kick off against Czech Republic. I must wear a mask at all times. I must take in all food from my micro bag into a plastic bag provided by the stadium, and all the catering outlet will be shut. So no one see burgers or cartoons of Pepsi to keep me going. When I obediently turn up to the stadium 3 hours early, the crowds are predictably sparse. The pub outside the ground overflow with supporters wrapped in Scotland flag look like a tempting alternative. But when I suggest to a steward that I might go get a drink ahead of the game, a look of concern crosses her kindly face. Be careful which pub you're going to, she said. They will see you coming. What is she referring to? Could it be the Dutch book bag A4 side that I'm clutching? I have given my spare ticket to a rear Scot, my friend Alastair, who is from Edinburgh, so also not 100% at home in Glasgow. We decide to take the advice and skip the pub. Inside a stadium, we encounter a fan in the loudest tartan suit I ever seen, including a tiny tartan clutch bag. I pose for a photo with him and he tells me, I had it tailor-made, son. It fits me like a glove. It is not just COVID regulation that make this unique and peculiar tournament. Euro 2020, as UEFA still insists on calling it, has also become sucked into the culture wars. The pub outside the ground overflowed with supporters wrapped in Scotland flag looked like a tempting alternative. But when I suggest to a steward that I might go get a drink ahead of the game, a look of concern crosses her kindly face. Be careful which pub you're going to. Be careful which pub you're going to. What is she referring to? Could it be the Dutch book bag A4 side that I'm clutching? I have given my spare ticket to a rear Scot, my friend Alastair, but he's from Edinburgh, so also not 100% at home in Glasgow. We decide to take the advice and skip the pub. Inside the stadium, we encounter a fan in the loudest tartan suit I ever seen, including a tiny tartan cloth bag. I posed for a photo with him and he tells me I had it tailor-made, son. It fits me like a glove. It is not just COVID regulation that make this unique and peculiar football tournament. Euro 2020, as UEFA still insists on calling it, has also become sucked into the culture wars. The culture wars. National football team are symbol of the nation, but that is not a straightforward task at a time when national identity is so fiercely contested. The pressing issue for Scotland, it is independent. For England, it is race. National English football team has decided to take the knee before matches as a protest against racism. But each time they do it, they are booed. They're all aware. Even the government seems uncertain about how to respond. After hesitating for a while, even the government seems uncertain about how to respond. After hesitating for a while, Boris Johnson Prime Minister condemned the booing and urged fans to get behind the team. But two members of his cabinet, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Priti Patel, defended the protest. 챕터 11 맞구나. Going to the football. 어, 어, After hesitating for a while, Boris Johnson Prime Minister condemned the booing and urged fans to get behind the team, but two members of his cabinet, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Priti Patel, defended the protesters, with Rees-Mogg suggesting that the protesters are not expressing racism but condemning the Marxist or Black Lives Matter movement. Patel, Britain's Home Secretary, has accused the player of indulging in gesture in politics. Players from the England team, whose pre-game press conferences are normally confined to discussing tactics, injuries, and the atmosphere inside the camp, now being asked to react Home Secretary. It would be natural to assume that cabinet ministers are better at politics than footballers, but the Johnson government has reason to be worried of the clashing with the England team. Last year, it went down to an ignominious defeat when it took on Marcus Rashford over the extension of free school meals for poor families. The Manchester United and England board mobilized a million signatures behind the petition and forced the Johnson government to change tack. The 23-year-old rushed for preparation for Ukraine training, including a Zoom call with Obama, while plenty of tourists are prepared to grumble about the work in Rashford. None are willing to take him in public. The culture wars over football are not just happening in Britain. The multiracial Belgian team took the knee in Russia ahead of their opening game. They were also booed by the crowd. The Russian also protesting against Marxism. Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, one of the host nations for Ukraine training, defended fans who were visiting team that saying that Hungarian see it as a provocation. Orban is himself a right-wing provocateur who has become a hero to the Trumpist right in America by issuing frequent warning about the added dangers Europe being flooded by Muslims. Even some moderate conservatives are uncomfortable about footballers taking the knee. One prominent, one prominent thinker in laments to me that football used to mean a political space, but now the national team has become a source of division. I can see what it means. This year's tournament inevitably brings back memories of Euro '96, when England played their games at Wembley and the whole country they seemed to get behind the team. And on compli- when England played their games and when England played their games at Wembley and the whole country they seemed to get behind the team. Behind the team. Also, when England also play their games at Wembley and the whole country is behind the team in a complicated sort of way. Back then, packed the stadium all joined the singing of three lions. Football's coming on now. The stadiums are largely empty, and some of the home crowds are actually bringing the players. For somebody who has been to many England games over the years, I know that the idea that the team was never mixed up with politics or race is an illusion. England games have always attracted a substantial number of Saudi hooligans and far-right supporters whose trademark chant is "No surrender to the IRA". At the last European Football Championship in France in 2016, the ugly tradition of English football hooliganism re-emerged. When I remarked to another fan that I didn't particularly enjoy being caught up in a riot outside a bar in Marseille, I was told curtly, "If you don't like it, you should stay at home and watch the game on television." Football growing in the 1970s was also where I saw the most overt racism that I ever witnessed in Britain. It was routine to see black players spark by booze and monkey noises. The football authorities for many years. So if the current national side feel they want to make a statement about racism, it is hard to accuse them of bringing police into the political space. But now the national team has become a source of division. I can see what it means this year tournament never brings oh no. The current nation it was routine. I the great football hooligan rumor when I remarked to another fan that I didn't particularly enjoy being caught up in a riot outside a bar in Marseille. I was told quickly, "If you don't like it, you should stay at home and watch the game on television." Football growing into 1970s were also where I saw the most over racing that I ever witnessed in Britain. It was routine to see black players bark by booze and bonky noises. The football authorities and commentators were silent about this for many years. So if the current national side feel they want to make a statement about racism, it is hard to accuse them of bringing police into the political space. The politics, particularly the racial politics, have always been there. The identity issues are really different for Scotland. Euro 2020 comes as the Scottish government is ramping up demand for a second independent referendum. This is the first major international tournament the team has qualified for since 1998, neatly fitting the narrative of national revival. Arriving in Scotland for, for the first game of the tournament, I find the local paper full of optimism. In recognition of the location, in recognition of the enormity of the occasion, the Scottish government has even allowed schools stop lesson to allow the kids to watch the game against Czech lives. As a visiting English fan, I wonder how I feel about all this. I grew up supporting Scotland in big international tournaments. I had little options since England failed to qualify for the World Cup of 1974 and 1978, but British identity was less complicated back then. Less complicated back then. The anthem played for the Scotland side that lined up to play Brazil in 1974 was God Save the Queen, although to recording does not show the Scottish player looking particularly delighted. Today, the crowd and team will be belting out applause Scotland loud enough to drown out conversation. Conversation. Uh, conversation. Loud enough to drown out conversation. The temper applause with a sound that can sound loud enough to drown out conversation. The team start the game with all the expected passion stream forward. Their captain Andy Robertson can be seen gesturing to his player to calm down. Then the Czech score and the air sucked out of the stadium. And a group of children near and a group of children near and a group of children. But the team start the game. Far from the jersey, but today when Scotland qualified for the World Cup in 1970, there were more than 9,000 people inside Hampden, but today, thanks to COVID, it's a little over 9,000. Far from the joyous return to the big time that has been advertised, it feels pretty black and lonely up in the stand. Even if the Tartan army has been reduced to little more than a couple of battalions. They built up Love Scotland loud enough to drown out conversation. The team started the game with all the expected passion and stream forward. Their captain Day Robertson can be seen gesturing to his player to calm down. Then the Czech score and the air sucked out of the stadium. At halftime, Richard Chew spent in the toilet next to the hand dryer. The warmest spot in Hampden. There is hopeful chatter around the urinal that Scotland might still be able to turn this round, but early in the second half, football history is made by the Czechs. Patrick Schick, the Thames centre forward, gets the ball on the upper line and floats the ball over the Scottish goalkeeper into the net. It is one of the most brilliant goals any of us will ever witness. The crowd is now almost totally silent, apart from a tiny group of cheering Czechs on the other side of the stadium, and a group of children near me who continue happily shouting for Scotland, while the others around them was frozen in horror. After the match, Alasdair reminds me that Scottish fans are used to bitter disappointment. Making the national football team a symbol of the nation is a double-edged sword. He imagined them scoring wonderful goals and celebrating the fun. But what if your goalkeeper floundering flat on his back and tangled in the net? Euro 2020 has already delivered humbling setback for two football match populous leaders. Orban gave permission for capacity crowd to attend Hungary's opening game in Budapest against Portugal, only to see the national side lose 3-0. Dictator Erdogan, president of Turkey, traveled to Azerbaijan and sat in a place of honor next to the prison from where he was able to see Turkey go down to a 2-0 defeat against Wales, while England fans also have a heavy disappointed their most ardent fans. The side often portrays as embodiment of what we like to believe are national characteristics: courage, calmness under pressure. In fact, as a recent piece by Donald Lee in The Guardian pointed out, England are uniquely bad at holding a lead in a tournament. The numbers seem to suggest they might even be bottled, and that all has the French and Italians are much better at holding their nerve and they take lead. If Gareth Southgate, the England manager, can somehow break this cycle and turn England into a winning outfit, he will inadvertently provide a huge boost to the Johnson government that is desperate for symbols of the success of Brexit Britain. But Southgate has subtly but mistakenly positioned himself to the left of the government, taking the knee. He leads a multiracial team and has constantly defended their right to make statements on subjects other than football. It has become actively saying Britain that culture wars always work better for the right than the left, but football may be an exception. All polls taken across Europe before Euro 2020 showed 54% of English football fans supported taking the knee, with 39% opposed. If the England team can win, the number in favor may rise, along with the team's popularity. For once, the right may find itself on the wrong end of the culture war for the duration of Euro 2020. I will care much less about who wins the culture war than who wins the tournament. For Scotland, Euro 2020 began with a deflating defeat. The England team disappointed their fans almost as reliably as the Scots, just slightly later in the day. On the other hand, this is a weird tournament. It's taking place in the middle of pandemic and stadiums are quarter full, and England are playing half decently. I am allowing myself to hope for the weirdest outcomes of an England victory.